The Skyrim multiplayer mod just got a new update. This being, of course, Skyrim Together, the absolutely amazing mod that lets you play Skyrim with friends. The new update will bring a few things, some additional options and functionality, but also, of course, some bug fixes, which are pretty vital. And although you technically don't have to update the mod, you still could keep playing. Since this is a multiplayer thing, you're going to be connecting to servers that are also going to be updating. You will probably want to download this update, and to do that, it's actually pretty simple. Just go to the folder where you installed Skyrim Together and literally delete everything. Delete all of the old files and then install all of the new files. Like I said, yeah, pretty straightforward. And one of the nice things is if you have been playing this mod with a bunch of friends, if you guys have a save game going, none of your progress will be impacted. You can just jump right back in with the updated version and everything will be back where it was. One of the big changes that was added with this update is the server list is visible again. This is kind of huge because it makes it a lot more accessible to just join servers freely, not having to coordinate with other people, but just like, oh, there's a server, I'm going to hit join and now you're on a server with other players. Although there's definitely an asterisk on that one and we'll talk more about that in a moment. One of the other big things that I think makes this mod far more accessible that has come out since my original video is playtogether.gg. This is the public server hosting that is being provided. The way this works is actually super simple. You literally just go to playtogether.gg. It'll ask you to verify yourself with Discord. You pick the server settings you want for your server, set a password if you want that, wait in the queue because there'll probably be a queue at least slightly, and then from there, you have a running server for this mod. You have the IP and password, you give this to your friends, you all type it in game, and now you're on a server together. It really makes this process incredibly simple, to the point where I had 4 strangers playing with me on a server within 20 minutes of me getting this set up. And although that makes things incredibly accessible and simple, this server list coming back is kind of a crapshoot. A lot of these servers aren't actually fully functional or public. Some of these are actually locally hosted and not port forwarded, so you can't join them. So a lot of times as you're trying to connect to servers, you'll just be immediately disconnected and probably be like, wait, why was I disconnected? Every once in a while, you will be able to successfully and seamlessly connect to a server right off the bat, but a lot of these don't work properly. And although you can spend a bit of time just clicking join over and over to try and find something, it still does seem like hosting one of your own servers or finding people in their Skyrim Together Discord is probably the best way to actually get in a game with others. But speaking of getting in a game with others, they've made that even more fun and added a couple of new features. The UI got some back-end improvements with this update, which is actually pretty important. One of the most common issues I've seen people having is they actually launch the mod and then they can't open this menu, the chat box where you can connect to servers or mess with the settings. You hit the key to open it and it just doesn't work. It's impacted me a couple of times. This latest update will make that happen less frequently. It doesn't seem like it's a complete fix, and if you do have this issue, the fix is basically just restart the game a bunch of times until it works, but it's nice to see that starting to get addressed. But once you actually connect to a server with friends, there's some improvements to enemies also. Enemies will get less siloed now. In the past, they would kind of lock on to one particular person in your party and just focus on them. Where now with this update, they're going to more broadly attack everyone in your party. Rather than attacking and getting siloed on an individual, they will kind of switch from target to target or just attack the group overall. In the minimal testing I was able to do on this, I actually think it's a pretty big improvement. I definitely noticed things being a bit more fun, although we were clearing through enemies pretty quickly, so at times it was hard to tell. But I definitely saw enemies switching targets more often with this most recent update, and it definitely made clearing dungeons a bit more fun on the whole. They fixed that unkillable enemies bug where they would basically have 0 HP and they'd just kind of be there, but you couldn't actually finish them off completely. This was actually done by removing kill cams, so kill cams no longer a thing in Skyrim Together, but removing kill cams to have enemies actually die, I feel like that's a pretty positive trade-off. What is one of the most exciting things coming with this update is healing hands now works. So in combat, you are able to heal the people in your party if you either A, accidentally attack them, or B, if they just get too low health from enemies. This is pretty fun, and in the overall meta, it seems pretty fun. Like you could almost have one person in your party be a dedicated healer or a mage that is always ready to heal someone, especially if you're playing on a higher difficulty, which I definitely recommend. I was running this server with a bunch of people, I should have made the difficulty harder. It ups the ante and it really just makes everyone feel like they need to work together rather than just steamrolling everything. And if you are looking for a more hardcore experience on servers, they also added in the ability to disable XP share as you're hosting a server. So you can make it so each player earns XP individually per kill rather than as a group. That was really the crux of the update itself, trying to make things a bit more stable and just have less issues overall. But in addition to the update, they also released a few more guides and really some broader guidance on how to best experience this mod and up stability. As it seems like one of the major causes for some of the recent crashing or bugginess that some people have been having is is none other than Skyrim Anniversary Edition. It seems like there's just been a lot of reports that people are having issues with the Anniversary Edition content turned on, and that goes away if you turn it off. This being all of the content in Anniversary Edition itself that costs money, but also the 4 free things that came to Skyrim. So if you were having issues, that is definitely one of the first things I would try. For me, I've honestly had minimal issues. I did not crash this entire play session I had today, and I've only actually crashed with this mod once or twice. There's been some other bugginess or glitchiness, but in general, just playing a lightly modded Skyrim, at least in the early days of Skyrim Together, seems to be a really good way to not have a lot of problems. Although you don't have to play a lightly modded Skyrim, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. And if you are still having problems getting into this or just getting things functioning, they uploaded an extremely detailed walkthrough on how exactly to install Skyrim Together. So it'll really walk you through step by step if you are having problems. And if you haven't been playing this mod, you need to. I have been having so much fun with Skyrim Together. This is some of the most fun I've had in a Bethesda game in years, many years. Like even just today, getting 5 people together and clearing through dungeons in Skyrim together. It just feels like such a magical experience. Yes, there was definitely a little bit of glitchiness, and there still is sometimes with people moving around, or if people are using mods that I don't have, but the bugginess wasn't even that bad in my experience, and you still can have so much freaking fun with this, especially if you're playing with friends in a voice call. They do mention where they're going with the next update, or at least some of their initial plans for that. It's really going to be a stability-focused update overall. They're going to work on the favorites menu being a bit buggy. This is something I've been having a lot of problems with, but it works sometimes, and other times it just doesn't really work properly. There's a bug where everyone turns into werewolves if somebody in the party uses the werewolf spell, which is honestly just kind of hilarious. I discovered this accidentally on the first day this mod came out, where I just went to use a shout. I happened to have the werewolf transformation selected, and everyone in my party immediately turned to werewolf, except this guy. I don't know why, but he just stayed human, although on his screen he was a werewolf. It was hilarious, but obviously unintended, and they do plan on fixing this hopefully with the next update. And lastly, they're going to fix a crash with picking up arrows. But if you want to get excited for this, look no further than Tales from the Nirn. This is a Skyrim role-playing community with some very ambitious plans. They've actually been using the older version of Skyrim Together for a while now to create some pretty epic videos, but they're working on a massive mod list, one of those automated mod lists that you'll be able to download with Wabbajack and then connect to their server so you could play ultra modded Skyrim with other people. And this is already working. Obviously, they're still working on the mod list, but they uploaded a video of them messing around with this. They have a ton of mods installed. Obviously, the key to this is everyone having the same mods installed and hosting a server near each other, but this looks absolutely epic. This is the kind of thing I get excited for with this, and they even invited me to participate and try things out just before release, so I'll have a video on that coming shortly. The future of Skyrim modding is looking incredibly bright, and of course, if you want to help make that future even brighter, you can join the Skyrim Together team, as I will have a link to their Discord in the description also. With that said, as always again, I thank you all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.